Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain stories feel so familiar, no matter where you are in the world? Why do heroes always face trials? Why do villains often hide a part of themselves? Why do we dream of ancient forests or wise old people we've never met? It's as if, deep within us, there's a secret language, a hidden library of symbols that speaks to everyone, everywhere, across all time. Imagine for a moment that our minds are like a vast ocean. On the surface, we see our daily thoughts, our to-do lists, the things we remember from yesterday. This is our conscious mind, the part we know well. But beneath this surface, stretching down into incredible depths, lies something far grander, far older. This is where the ancient currents flow, where timeless patterns whisper to us, shaping our lives in ways we often don't even realize. These are not just random thoughts or forgotten memories. These are the deep, powerful symbols that have been part of humanity's story since the very beginning. They appear in our oldest myths, in the fairy tales we tell our children, in the movies that move us, and even in the quiet whispers of our own dreams. They are the unseen forces that pull at our hearts, stir our fears, and this profound idea, that there's a shared wellspring of human experience beneath our individual thoughts, was explored deeply by a brilliant Swiss thinker named Carl Jung. Jung was a doctor of the mind, a psychologist who dared to look beyond what was obvious, into the mysterious depths of the human soul. He saw these ancient currents, these universal symbols, not as mere coincidence, but as proof of something he called the collective unconscious. Imagine that every human being, across all time and all places, is connected to a vast, invisible network. It's not like the internet we know today, but something far more ancient and powerful, woven into the very fabric of our being. The collective unconscious is like a shared memory bank, not of things we personally experienced, but of fundamental human experiences and patterns that have been passed down through generations, like an inheritance for the soul. Jung believed that just as our bodies inherit certain traits from our ancestors, like the color of our eyes or the shape of our nose, our minds inherit these deep, universal patterns. We don't learn them. We are born with the potential to experience and understand them. It's why a child in Africa might draw a sun with a face, just as a child in Europe might, without ever seeing each other's drawings. It's why stories of a great flood appear in cultures all over the world. This collective unconscious is not filled with specific memories, but with blueprints, with templates for how humans experience the world. These templates are what Jung called archetypes. So, what exactly is an archetype? Think of it like a mold, a pattern, or a blueprint that exists in the deepest part of our shared human mind. It's not a specific person or a specific story, but rather the idea of a person or a type of story that repeats itself across all cultures and times. Imagine you're baking cookies. You have a cookie cutter shaped like a star. Every cookie you make with that cutter will be a star. The cookie cutter itself is not a cookie, it's the pattern that shapes all the star cookies. In the same way, an archetype is the cookie cutter of the collective unconscious. It's an original pattern or model from which all similar things are copied or developed. These aren't just ideas, they are powerful images and symbols that hold deep meaning for us. They are like universal roles or characters in humanity's grand play. When you see a character in a movie who is brave and strong, always fighting for what's right, your mind instantly recognizes a familiar pattern. That's an archetype at work. Jung believed that these archetypes give shape to our thoughts, feelings, and actions. They are the unseen forces that make us respond to certain situations in predictable ways, or that draw us to particular kinds of stories. They are the core ideas of human experience: courage, wisdom, innocence, trickery, growth, and destruction. They are the underlying themes that make sense of the chaos of life. They're not just found in ancient myths, but they breathe life into our modern world too. They are the silent directors behind the curtain of our consciousness, guiding our understanding of ourselves, others, and the world around us. These archetypes are not fixed images, but rather potentials for certain experiences and ways of being, waiting to be brought to life in our individual stories. One of the most powerful and easily recognizable archetypes is the hero. Think about it, from the very first stories told around ancient campfires to the biggest blockbusters on our screens today, the hero is always there. This isn't just a character, it's a fundamental pattern of human experience, a journey we all understand deep in our bones. The hero archetype represents our desire to overcome challenges, to face our fears, and to strive for something greater than ourselves. It's the call to adventure, the journey into the unknown, the trials and tribulations, and finally, the return with a new understanding or a valuable prize. Look at Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. He starts as a simple farm boy, yearning for something more. He's called to adventure by Obi-Wan Kenobi, faces the dark forces of the Empire, confronts Darth Vader, and ultimately brings balance to the Force. His journey is a perfect echo of the hero archetype. Or consider Harry Potter, a seemingly ordinary boy who discovers a magical destiny, battles evil, and grows into a powerful wizard. Even Simba in The Lion King follows this path, banished from his home, facing his inner demons, and eventually returning to reclaim his rightful place. These stories aren't just entertaining, they resonate so deeply because they tap into this universal blueprint within us. We see ourselves in the hero's struggle, in their moments of doubt, and in their ultimate triumph. The hero archetype inspires us to confront our own dragons, whether they are real-world problems or inner fears. It teaches us about courage, sacrifice, and the belief that even the smallest among us can achieve great things. This archetype isn't limited to grand adventures. It appears in everyday life too, in anyone who stands up for what's right, who overcomes personal hardship, or who dedicates themselves to a cause. The hero is a part of us all, waiting for its call to action. But for every shining hero, there is often a formidable foe, a dark mirror reflecting what we fear most. This brings us to another powerful archetype, the shadow. The shadow is not just the villain in a story, it is the embodiment of everything we reject about ourselves, the parts we hide away, the impulses we deem unacceptable. In stories, the shadow often takes the form of the antagonist, the Dark Lord, or the cruel tyrant. Think of Darth Vader from Star Wars. He is the ultimate shadow for Luke Skywalker, representing not only an external evil but also the potential for darkness within Luke himself, the path his father once took. Or consider the Wicked Witch in fairy tales, personifying malice and envy. These villains are compelling because they tap into our primal understanding of evil and the darker aspects of human nature. However, the shadow isn't just an external enemy, it lives within each of us. It's the part of ourselves we deny, suppress, or are ashamed of. It might be our anger, our jealousy, our laziness, our selfish desires, or our fears. When we refuse to acknowledge these parts, they don't disappear. They often grow stronger in the dark corners of our minds, sometimes erupting in unexpected ways. Jung believed that facing our own shadow is one of the most important tasks in life. It's not about becoming evil, but about integrating these hidden parts, understanding them, and learning to manage them. Only by acknowledging our darkness can we truly appreciate our light. When a hero in a story defeats a villain, it often symbolizes their own internal struggle to overcome their personal shadow. The shadow archetype reminds us that darkness is a part of existence, and that true wholeness comes from acknowledging and understanding all aspects of ourselves, not just the ones we prefer. It teaches us that the greatest battles are often fought within, and that ignoring our inner demons only gives them more power. Beyond the hero and the shadow, Jung also spoke of archetypes that deeply influence our relationships and our understanding of the opposite gender, the anima and the animus. These are the inner feminine and inner masculine within each of us, regardless of our biological sex. The anima is the feminine principle in a man's unconscious mind. It holds all the qualities traditionally seen as feminine: intuition, emotion, creativity, receptivity, and connection. For a man, the anima influences his moods, his feelings, and how he relates to women. If a man ignores his anima, he might become overly logical, stiff, or disconnected from his emotions. But when he embraces it, he can become more empathetic, artistic, and deeply connected. Conversely, the animus is the masculine principle in a woman's unconscious mind. It embodies qualities like logic, assertiveness, courage, and objective thought. For a woman, the animus influences her opinions, her drive, and how she relates to men. If a woman ignores her animus, she might struggle to stand up for herself or articulate her thoughts clearly. When she integrates it, she can become more self-assured, decisive, and intellectually strong. These inner figures are not static. They evolve throughout our lives and play a huge role in who we are attracted to. We often project our anima or animus onto others, seeking out partners who embody these inner ideals. A man might be drawn to a woman who represents his undeveloped anima qualities, hoping to find wholeness through her. Similarly, a woman might seek a partner who embodies her animus, looking for strength and direction. This projection can lead to both great love and great misunderstanding. When we fall in love, we often fall for the image of our inner anima or animus. But as we get to know the real person, we might find they don't perfectly match our inner ideal, leading to disappointment. Jung taught that true maturity in relationships comes from integrating our own anima or animus, rather than constantly seeking it in others. It's about recognizing that the other is also within us, waiting to be understood and developed. As the hero journeys and battles their inner shadow, they often encounter another essential archetype: the wise old man or wise old woman. These figures are the spiritual. These archetypes, the hero, the shadow, the anima and animus, the wise old guide, are not just characters in stories. They are living forces that speak to us in profound ways, especially when our conscious guard is down. One of the most common places to encounter them is in our dreams. Think of dreams as a nightly theater of the soul, where the collective unconscious stages its dramas. In this realm, the symbols are not always clear and direct. They often appear in strange, poetic forms. You might dream of battling a monstrous creature, which could be your personal shadow. You might meet a mysterious old woman who offers cryptic advice, a manifestation of the wise old woman archetype guiding you. Or perhaps you dream of a beautiful garden, symbolizing growth and the potential for wholeness. Jung believed that dreams are not just random noise, but purposeful messages from our deeper selves, trying to bring balance and understanding to our waking lives. By paying attention to these dream symbols, we can gain insights into our inner conflicts, our undeveloped potentials, and the direction our soul wishes to take. But archetypes also burst forth into our waking world through art. For centuries, artists, poets, musicians, and storytellers have intuitively tapped into the collective unconscious, creating works that resonate universally. Why does a painting of a mother and child evoke such tenderness in almost everyone? Because it touches upon the mother archetype, a primal image of nurturing and unconditional love. Why do certain songs about struggle and triumph inspire us? Because they echo the hero's journey. From ancient cave paintings depicting hunters and beasts, to the intricate mandalas of Eastern philosophy, to the modern abstract expressions of our inner worlds, art is a powerful language of archetypes. It allows us to express and understand these deep, shared patterns in ways that words alone sometimes cannot. Through art, the unconscious speaks, and we, as observers, instinctively understand its timeless message. It's fascinating how these ancient patterns, born from the collective unconscious, continue to shape our modern stories. Popular culture, especially movies and television, is a rich tapestry woven with archetypal threads. Once you learn to see them, you'll find them everywhere, speaking to us in a language we instinctively understand. Let's look at Star Wars again, a saga deeply rooted in Jungian ideas. Luke Skywalker is the quintessential hero, embarking on a quest. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda are classic wise old men, guiding Luke with their wisdom and knowledge of the Force. Darth Vader is the powerful shadow, not just an external enemy, but also the embodiment of Luke's own potential for darkness, and the unintegrated shadow of his father. Princess Leia, strong and assertive, embodies aspects of the Animus in her independence and leadership. Even Han Solo, the scoundrel with a heart of gold, touches on the trickster archetype, challenging norms but ultimately serving the greater good. Disney movies, often seen as simple children's tales, are also brimming with archetypes. Cinderella, Belle, and Mulan all embark on a heroine's journey, facing adversity and finding their inner strength. The evil stepmothers and witches, like Maleficent or Ursula, are clear manifestations of the shadow, representing jealousy, cruelty, and the destructive feminine. The fairy godmother is a classic wise old woman, offering magical aid and guidance. Even the animals often act as helpers or guides, another archetypal role. Think about the archetypal lover in romantic comedies, seeking connection and intimacy, or the rebel, who fights against societal norms. The caregiver archetype is present in characters who nurture and protect, like Mary Poppins. These are not just characters, they are reflections of universal human drives and experiences that resonate with audiences young and old, across all cultures. They tap into that shared library of symbols, making the stories feel deeply meaningful and timeless. This is why these stories endure, generation after generation. They speak to the parts of us that never change. So, why does any of this matter to you, right now, in your own life? Understanding these archetypes isn't just a fun way to analyze movies. It's a powerful key to unlocking deeper self-understanding. When we recognize these universal patterns, we begin to see the hidden forces at play within our own minds and in the world around us. Think of it like learning the rules of a game you've always been playing, but without knowing the score or the strategy. Suddenly, the moves make more sense. When you recognize the hero archetype, you can see where you are on your own life's journey. Are you being called to an adventure? Are you facing a challenge that demands courage? This insight can empower you to embrace your own heroic path, to step up to the plate when life asks you to. Similarly, becoming aware of your own shadow can be incredibly freeing. Instead of being secretly driven by unacknowledged anger or fear, you can bring these parts into the light. It's not about getting rid of them, but about understanding them, integrating them, and making conscious choices about how they influence your actions. This process allows you to become a more whole and authentic person, less prone to unexpected outbursts or self-sabotaging behaviors. Recognizing the anima or animus within helps us understand our emotional responses and our relationships. It explains why certain people attract us, or why we sometimes feel out of balance. By developing these inner qualities, we become more complete individuals, capable of richer, more meaningful connections with others, because we are no longer projecting our entire inner world onto them. In essence, Jung's archetypes provide a map of the human soul. They offer a framework for understanding not just our individual quirks, but the deep, shared experiences that connect all of humanity. By seeing ourselves as part of this grand, archetypal drama, we gain perspective, compassion, and a profound sense of belonging. It helps us understand why we feel what we feel, why we are drawn to certain things, and why we sometimes struggle. It brings clarity to the mystery of being human. The power of archetypes isn't just evident in modern films. Their roots stretch back to the dawn of human storytelling. Long before Hollywood, before printed books, even before written language, these patterns were being woven into the fabric of human culture through ancient myths and fairy tales. These timeless narratives are the original classrooms of the soul, teaching us about life, death, struggle, and triumph through symbolic figures. Consider the myth of Odysseus, the Greek hero who faced monsters, sirens, and long journeys to return home. His tale is a foundational hero's journey, filled with trials that test his courage and cunning. Or think of the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, a king who searches for immortality after the death of his friend, confronting his own mortality and the nature of grief, a heroic quest with profound psychological depth. These myths were not just stories. They were sacred texts that offered guidance and meaning, mirroring the archetypal patterns within the listener's own lives. Fairy tales, too, are miniature blueprints of archetypal dynamics. Why does Little Red Riding Hood continue to captivate? The innocent girl venturing into the dangerous woods, the deceptive wolf, a shadow figure, and the wise woodsman, a helper or wise old man, all speak to universal experiences of innocence facing peril and the need for discernment. Hansel and Gretel explore themes of abandonment, the devouring mother, the witch, and the cleverness of children overcoming impossible odds. These stories, passed down through generations, prepare us for the archetypal challenges we will inevitably face in our own lives. What Jung recognized was that these myths and fairy tales weren't just made-up stories. They were spontaneous expressions of the collective unconscious, emerging from the depths of the human psyche. They are the dreams of humanity, shared across time and space, offering profound insights into the human condition. By connecting with these ancient narratives, we tap into a wellspring of wisdom that helps us understand our place in the grand unfolding drama of existence. They remind us that our personal struggles are often echoes of universal human experiences. Now, let's bring this powerful understanding of archetypes even closer to home. Beyond the grand narratives of myths and movies, these symbols quietly, yet profoundly, shape the big decisions we make in our everyday lives. They influence our career paths, our relationships, our values, and even how we face turning points. Have you ever felt an inexplicable pull towards a certain profession, perhaps one that involves helping others, even if it's not the most lucrative? That could be the caregiver or the hero archetype influencing your choices, driving you to fulfill a deeper purpose. Or perhaps you felt a strong urge to break free from tradition, to forge your own path, even when it's difficult. That could be the rebel archetype stirring within, challenging you to live authentically. When we choose a partner, we're not just looking for someone who checks off boxes on a list. Often, unconsciously, we're seeking someone who resonates with our inner archetypal needs, perhaps embodying the lover, the king/queen, or even aspects of our anima or animus. These deep, symbolic connections are often why certain relationships feel meant to be, or why others, despite outward compatibility, feel lacking. Consider moments of crisis or major life transitions, moving to a new city, starting a family, changing careers, or enduring a loss. These are often archetypal passages, echoing the hero's journey into the unknown. We might instinctively seek out a mentor, the wise old man/woman, or confront an inner demon, the shadow, during these times. The strength we find to persevere, to adapt, to grow, that's the hero archetype manifesting in our personal narrative. Recognizing these archetypal currents in our own lives doesn't mean we are predestined. It means we become more conscious participants in our own story. It gives us a language to understand our deepest motivations and a compass to navigate life's challenges with greater awareness. Our big life choices are rarely purely rational. They are often guided by these deep, ancient patterns seeking expression and integration. They are the soul's way of guiding us toward wholeness. All these explorations into archetypes, from the hero's quest to the inner workings of our shadow, point towards Jung's most profound concept, individuation. This isn't about becoming selfish or separate, it's about the lifelong journey of becoming the most complete, whole, and authentic version of ourselves. It's the process of integrating all the different parts of our personality, both conscious and unconscious, to achieve psychological wholeness. Imagine a mosaic where each piece represents an aspect of your being, your strengths, your weaknesses, your hidden desires, your public face. Individuation is the process of putting all these pieces together, not just the pretty ones, but even the jagged, dark ones, to reveal the full, unique picture of who you truly are. It means accepting your light and your shadow, embracing your inner masculine and feminine, and finding your own unique way to express. This journey of individuation, of becoming more authentically ourselves, is deeply enriched by simply noticing these archetypal symbols in our lives. It's like turning on a light in a dimly lit room. Suddenly, everything gains clarity and purpose. When you recognize the universal patterns at play, life stops feeling like a series of random events and starts to feel like a meaningful story, your unique chapter in the grand human narrative. Imagine reading a book without understanding its symbols. It might be entertaining, but much of its deeper message would be lost. Similarly, when we learn to read the symbolic language of archetypes, our everyday experiences, our dreams, and the stories we consume become imbued with richer meaning. A difficult challenge is no longer just a problem, it's a call to action for your inner hero. A moment of self-doubt isn't just weakness, it's an opportunity to acknowledge and integrate a part of your shadow. This awareness brings a profound sense of connection. You realize that your personal struggles and triumphs are not isolated. They are echoes of universal human experiences that have been played out for millennia. This can bring comfort, knowing you are part of something larger, and inspiration, knowing that countless others have faced similar challenges and grown from them. Noticing these symbols also fosters greater compassion, both for ourselves and for others. We understand that people's behaviors, even those we find difficult, might be driven by unconscious archetypal forces they are not yet aware of. This doesn't excuse harmful actions, but it provides a deeper understanding of the human condition, encouraging empathy. Ultimately, by tuning into the archetypal language of the collective unconscious, we move from merely living life to actively participating in its unfolding mystery. We transform from passive observers to conscious co-creators of our reality, finding purpose and wonder in the tapestry of existence. Life becomes less about what happens to us, and more about how we engage with the timeless patterns that shape it. As we draw this reflection to a close, remember that the journey into the collective unconscious is not a destination.